30th. They were protesting, and there's an article from Mehdi Hassan in the Intercept saying Israel kills Palestinians and Western liberals shrug. Their humanitarianism is a sham. And it's a very valid point. What happened here, so on Friday, which is March 30th, the IDF shot an astonishing 773 people with live ammunition, killing 17 of them. Yet a spokesperson for the IDF bragged that Israeli troops, quote, arrived prepared and, quote, everything was accurate. We know where every bullet landed. On Sunday, Israel's hawkish defense minister, Avigdor Lieberman, roundly rejected calls from the European Union and the United Nations for an independent inquiry into the violence and insisted that our soldiers deserve a commendation. So also another article I saw, UN is trying to bring up sanctions against Israel and the United States is saying no. And this is just horrifying. If any other government did this, it would be like, why are we letting this happen? And me being critical of this shooting and these people does not mean I'm anti-Semitic. I visited Dachau when I was a child. We went there. We were living in Germany when I was a kid, and my parents took us to Dachau. I think I might have been a little too young to look at it. I was like 5 or 6. But it stuck with me. And it's awful. And anti-Semitism and racism in general is horrifying. Which is why just treating, if you're an Israeli, treating Arabs as less than human and just gunning them down and being proud of it, how is that why do you get to do that? The Holocaust doesn't give you the right to then be racist and violent and abusive to another race. Doesn't give you the right to do that. If anything, you should be more sympathetic. It doesn't make sense to me. So I grew up in a school that had Holocaust remembrance, like week even, maybe a month, I don't know. But it was like, we talked about it a lot. I've met Holocaust survivors. I've been to the Museum of Tolerance in America and the Los Angeles Museum of the Holocaust. There's things we should never, ever, ever forget. So then why are we talking about this? The Israeli military just starts gunning people down? And where he's asking, where is all of this? Where is everybody's outrage? Where is it? You know? He talks about, he put a question that he put to French philosopher, author, and champion of liberal or humanitarian interventionism, Bernard Henry Levy, on his Al Jazeera English interview head-to-head in 2013. And he said the situation in Palestine is just not the same. And in Syria, you have not all of the good on one side and all the bad on one side. And Levy, who once remarked in reference to Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, that he had never seen such a democratic army, which asks itself so many moral questions. The man is known as BHL. He watched, as the author's like, I watched horrific images of unarmed Palestinian protesters at the Gaza border being shot in the back by Democratic Army of Israel. How many moral questions did the Israeli snipers ask themselves? I wondered before they gunned down Gazan refugees for daring to demand a return to their homes inside the Green Line. Where is a call from former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, whose 1999 speech in Chicago defending the concept of a just war and a doctrine of international community became a key text for liberal interventionists for a no-fly zone over Gaza? Why does a guest speaker at Ariel Sharon's funeral have nothing to say about the increasing number of Palestinian funerals? Where are the righteously angry op-eds from Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times and Richard Cohen of the Washington Post, or David Aronvich of the Times of London, demanding concrete action against the human rights abusers of the IDF? Their silence is deafening and telling. Palestinians, it seems, have been so dehumanized they don't deserve a humanitarian intervention. Their blood is cheap, their plight is unimportant, and perhaps above all, their killers are our friends. This has been going on for a long time. And I say this, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm all about justice, and gunning down unarmed people is unjust. I have friends that are very pro-Israel. I have friends with family members in the Israeli army. I have very good friends. And I would ask, my question to them would be, if they're like, Graham, I'm sure they would say, well, you don't understand the situation. I'd say, okay, I haven't been there. Why then were there a group of Israeli teenagers who said, we're not joining the military? Because you have to. Once you turn 18, you have to serve in the Israeli army for 2 years. And a bunch of teenagers recently said, no, we're not doing it. Why did they say that? Why have I seen interviews on like Abby Martin's show of former Israeli soldiers saying I was raised and brainwashed to think the Palestinians are awful and they're all terrorists and we're right to do this, and I lived it, and I lived this war, and I saw it and I said it's wrong how we're treating them. How do you answer to them? That's my question. You want to tell me I'm uninformed? I'm an American. Graham, you don't know. Okay. What do you say to them? There's videos going viral, I would suggest watching if you haven't already, of Israeli soldiers, armed and funded by U.S. taxpayers, shooting fleeing Palestinians in their backs. Again, not a peep on Twitter or elsewhere from the leaders of the Democratic Party in Congress, such as Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi. For liberal Democrats, hashtag resistance is supposed to be against the Trump administration and the so-called alt-right, not against the longest military occupation in the world. This man ain't wrong. This man's not wrong. The ongoing and glaring refusal of liberal interventionists in the West to say even a word about the need to protect occupied Palestinians from state-sponsored violence is a reminder of just how morally bankrupt and cynically hypocritical the whole liberal intervention shtick is. Yep. I'm talking about it here. So, it's something we should be paying attention to. It's awful. These are crimes. And I am critical of governments who wield their power for financial and political gain. Very critical of the American government and the American military. And I'm going to be just as critical as the Israeli government and the American military, because it ain't right. Shooting people in the back ain't right. We're facing a change around the world. Do we want to live in a world where this happens and we say nothing? Unarmed black men get shot in this country. Unarmed anybody gets. We have a militarized police force in this country. Our military goes around and blows up the world and sells weapons to all different kinds of countries that who then commit more crimes. Is this the world we want to live in? Where we look at a certain race of people as less than human and it's okay to kill them? Is that okay? Being critical of Israel and it's awful that Palestinians are getting shot in the back doesn't make me now pro-terrorist, because that's saying that all Palestinians are terrorists. That's not correct. All Muslims are not terrorists. It's not correct. And every time there's a mass shooting, it's usually by a white person that's a Christian, and yet we don't hold the whole Christian religion responsible. But when a Muslim person does something bad, we hold all of Islam responsible. It's hypocritical and it's bullshit. I thank this guy for writing this article, and I thank The Intercept for putting it out there, and I thank you for watching it. Thanks for supporting the show.